So, I was thinking as I wasn't able to just post my little short video. It was being, restricted or whatever, forced to go to YouTube, but I should have the ability to just post on my page because I'm an American citizen. Everybody else does. But it is the fact that they don't like what I'm talking about. And we really have to look at the 12 years of public education that is an offer of a free and what would look like an appropriate public education. How is that measured by the African American community? We have to ask ourselves, across this nation, how far have we been allowed to be promoted as free citizens? As if America could actually create a day and talk about Juneteenth and as if it's a gift. The freedom was gift. But when the offer of faith is not real, and people have just created jobs to, sustain themselves. Was it an amazing day? Bill Cosby is out of jail, and now we can all go back to watching The Cosby Show. As irregardless of what happened, there was an agreement that was made and $2.3 million was exchanged. And people just don't have to do things that they don't want to do. They don't have to be in it's difficult, but you have to fight to stand up. And Bill was still being a value when he was in the penitentiary because he was working with African American people. I'm sure they didn't have to put him in solitary because a lot of black people respected him. And they know that he lost his son when he decided that he might want to, move a little further in America. But, when you can go to the White House and, Kanye went, a couple other people went, hey, they went and talked to Trump. They talked to the Republicans, they talked to the Democrats. But guess what? In America, you just be an American, boo. I mean, there's nothing else except for an American. And then most people don't even exercise any of the responsibilities for citizenship. What does that look like? Because you pay taxes. And when you have to understand, when you have a movie, an iconic star, Stevie Wonder, say that he was going to take all of his children, his whole family, and put them over there in Ghana where they could live like human beings. Humans. And not, what is compliance in 2021? There's no more slavery, but there's compliance in the school system. There's compliance in the law. There's even compliance in your house because they can disable your devices or make them work some kind of way. But you have to see there's a restrictive manner over here on Facebook because who gets to look at and analyze what I'm talking about? They didn't live my life. Who are they? Nobody to me. And I don't care about their damn community guidelines. I'm not trying to start, I'm just trying to understand where we are. And why was it that when I was born and when I, basically lost my job under a workers' comp thing, they could give me such a small amount, but then give me a lifetime benefit of medical because they knew what was going on. As, I was in a toxic environment. My child came out with a disability because, come on now, chemicals do affect your system. I know who I am now, but I was also blessed to have the time to go back to public education with my children. Oh, lottery numbers out. 13, 16, 18, 12, 25. Hey, ooh, I hope somebody black won. Is that ironic? It's not. Because, we have to understand that we have to stand up for our own children. And you can't expect someone else to stand up for yours. This was a Republican state. Adam Loxell, I think, was the governor. Then they had all these people in the Senate and the House, and they all would just vote to just do whatever they wanted to do. And, they can do that because in America, a state has the right to use the funds in the best way, as long as they're not bringing harm to any one subgroup. You understand what I'm saying? So, the flexibility in using the resources, because they're just public tax dollars, boo. They come back to the state, and then you elect people that would represent your interests. You hope, so that your children can benefit. But when you would elect a president and put him in office, and then he referred to African American players on in sports teams that would take a knee to try to bring some conscious thought to why would our children be out there entertaining the world, the whole world, and didn't have to think about their nephews being murdered on the street. I mean, what was that Philando Castillo? I mean, let's really talk about his life, okay? He was working at an educational agency. The children loved him, and he had a woman, and he had a baby in the car. But you would have an officer that knew. He had to know that he had a permit to carry. He had to know that. But then to panic. And what was it all about? A broken taillight? Really? Oh, please help me with that. Help me with so many of the situations that our people have just lost their life without even going to trial. I mean, with the allegation, it's just like the allegation that my Facebook post was whatever. And, I never hung an African American person, but I know that there was a song written about black bodies hanging from those trees. And I know that my grandfather knew that that was going on in the South, as he was one of the people that put people on the trains. So you got to understand where my spirit comes from. You get me? And so, it's real, right? In America, we're just blessed to be who we are. And it's kind of written in your DNA. But, I don't care if you had 125 groups, even if you had 1 million groups of people who did not live here in Nevada, talking about they were participating in critical race theory, and they were going to help provide services. You know what that feels like? For someone to provide services to you and it has no effect. It's not helping you any. I mean, that's kind of how people expect you to accept the responsibility for learning, even if you can't read. And because they get a paycheck and they get health care and their children are taken care of, but your children, where are your children going on? I mean, we have to, when there is an 88% population of people who would be incarcerated in juvenile hall, and 49%, they say, of children in the foster care system, and they have a program called The Haven here that they run through the Department of Health and Human Services that's from 0 to 18. So if you happen to, but you have to ask yourself, was this mental illness that a woman would take her child and choke it to death and her child have tantrums? If he was autistic, he was having tantrums. I can tell you, boo, a child with autism can have some tantrums because they lack the ability to communicate effectively. And you don't hear them, and they don't hear you. And the more they get agitated, unless they learn how to calm themselves down, you just got a world of hurt going on. That's why it's so important to get children into language development early. As children with autism in the spectrum, well, they're not processing the same way you process. And even if they understand what's going on, they can't communicate it to you. And this is all about language development and social skills and, hey, public education. Because in public education, it is just, the federal government's offer of FAPE, I can't even tell you, it's not failure. But if you believe it's failure, then that's all you get. And that's real. So anytime you allow your child to get a letter grade of F and then send them back to school and not demand an understanding of what that is. But I understand some of you will go to school and end up in the jailhouse or being told that you can't ever come back to the school because they're so afraid of you. Oh, my goodness. They were terrified you were going to attack them, even if you never were. But it was a caring kind of thing, the thing that they call caring. My nephew, he is only 5, but honey, he said, Nana, look over there. She's pulling a Karen, isn't she? Because some white woman was going off on somebody. And I'm telling you, our children know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And we have told them. And It's unfortunate that child abuse is so rampant in our communities, as why would you beat the gift that God gave you to the point to where, I mean, you have to do everything you can do to not put your hands on your child. You wouldn't want anybody putting their hands on you, but an infant, beating an infant, is this mental illness in our local community? What in the hell is going on? Far too many people would just kill a baby, a helpless baby. Where the hell do you think you're going? I don't understand. In America, we need to understand we are who we are and the acceptance of who we are. But we are a can-do people. We can do better. And I'm hoping you understand we all can do better. So the word is e pluribus unum. Out of many there's one, but out of one there's absolutely none. So who will you be in 2021? Please like and subscribe and follow me on Anchor. And obviously I'm not freely on Facebook, but that's okay. I know how to post my videos anyway. Y'all have a good evening.